Okay, point slope form of a line is given by this equation. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So x1, y1 is going to be some point we know is on the line. M is going to be the slope of the line. We can always fill into slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, but this one is handy in certain circumstances, especially if you know a point and a slope. So let's jump into a word problem. I know too many word problems. That's okay. All right. Working as an insurance salesman, Ilya earns a base salary and then commission for each new policy. So they tell us what we're going to name it. So Ilya's weekly income is I. Depends on these number of new policies, N. So we're going to use N as our input value, and I is going to be the output, how much Ilya's earning. He sells during the week. Okay, last week he sold 3 new policies, and that corresponded with earning $760 for the week. Now, the week before, 5 policies earned $920. So our goal here is find the function. They tell us it's I of n. And we're going to assume that this is a linear function, by the way. So as we get writing this, I'm going to kind of write it out over on the right-hand side. As we think about this as being linear, normally it's y equals mx plus b. But in our case, it's going to be m is our slope and n is our variable. B is the y-intercept. But to get to this form, what I'm going to do is first start out with point slope format. So we have a couple ordered pairs given to us, believe it or not. We have an input value of n and an output value of an income. So a number of new policies, 3, corresponded with $760 for an income, and 5 new policies corresponded with $920 for an income. Okay, to fill into the point slope form, well, we have a point. We actually have 2 points, but we need a slope to go with them. So let's calculate the slope using the slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to go with these are the sub 1s, these are the sub 2s, and get filling in. So m equals 920 minus 760 over 5 minus 3, which is going to be 8 is going to be 240. No, 180. Make my mistakes now. 180 divided by 2 works out to be 90. 160 divided by 2. Should have had this one written down. 160 divided by 2, which is actually 80 for our slope. All right, so we have the slope of our line. I'm going to elect to use that first ordered pair. So as we fill in, normally it's going to be y minus the y value, so 760, equals m times parentheses x minus the x value. Doing a little bit of solving down here, I'm going to have y minus 760 equals 80x minus 240. And then to isolate the y to get it on one side all by itself, I'm going to add that 760 to both sides. That'll give us 80x plus 520. Now, the last thing I need to do is, I know I have it in y's and x's, and they asked us to name this instead. They wanted it to be I of n for the output. And then on the right-hand side, n was going to be our variable instead of x. So just to kind of align with how they want it to be written, I'm going back to I of n and n for naming. That's the only reason. All right, so let's interpret the meanings for these components. Now that we're in slope-intercept form, this typically is our m value, or we can think of that as the rate of change. All right, so it's positive. That means that it is increasing by 80 for every single new policy that we sell. So 80 multiplied by the number of policies you sell that week. So if you sell 1 policy, it's 80 times 1, you make $80. 2 policies, 80 times 2, you make $160, and so on. Now the other component here, normally we think of this as being b, right, the y-intercept. Or we can say that's the initial amount. So in our context, the initial amount is going to be what you make no matter what. All right. If you don't sell any policies, you're still going to make $520 each week. Think about it. If we plugged in I of 0, meaning 0 new policies, you get 80 times 0 plus 520. It's still going to end up being $520 each week. All right, I hope this helps out. I know word problems aren't our favorites, but important to be able to break them down and get the components we need to get to our answer.